notice Queen Quandus does the exact same thing. The papist says Mary allegedly appears in Zaytun to tens of thousands of people. So that proves Roman Catholicism. Wait a minute. Those are Coptic churches. So by your own line of arguing, I should be Coptic because Marian apparitions prove wherever she appears. But wait a minute. There's Orthodox claims of Marian apparition. There's Coptic claims of Marian apparition. There's Fatima, Roman Catholic claims. So how does Marian claim prove which one, goobers? Duh. It doesn't. In fact, Roman Catholics will even say that, well, because of ecumenism, it proves Catholicism. What? That's even stupider. Why would that? I mean, that's an even worse case for you. By that line of argumentation, Islam is valid too because Mary has a place in Islam. It's entirely possible that Mary could have appeared, or if a Muslim claims Mary appears. So now it proves Islam as well. Because Vatican II says Roman Catholics and Muslims worship the same deity. So how do you, I mean, this is so stupid. But it's the same line of argument of non sequitur. DNA and fingerprints, therefore patsy. No, that is a non-necessary inference. How do I show that it's a non-necessary inference? Because there are multiple other possible inferences that are just as likely. Perhaps there was mishandling of the evidence. Perhaps there was an heirloom gun that many people handled. And then she suggested, if you guys remember, well, perhaps the family was involved in the cover-up. Oh, now you're getting even more out there and challenging for your position. So now so how do you know which of these prints therefore puts the family member in the domain, the bucket of conspiring for him to be a patsy? You see, that's an even higher bar of things to prove. It's even stupider. Now, maybe that's the case, but you're going to have to demonstrate that. Well, again, as I say to people who, I mean, if none of us were there at Zaytun or at Fatima in Portugal, can you absolutely rule out, let's just say for the sake of argument, we're going to investigate either of those miracle claims. Can you rule out that it's not just a fake news story? Have there been large-scale fake news stories in history? Absolutely. In fact, there's a very famous case of one called the Great Moon Hoax. 1835, a series of 6 articles published in the Sun newspaper, August 25th, 1835, about the discovery of life and civilizations on the moon. Look, bat people on the moon, dude. They drew a picture of it in the paper for you. There you go. And guess what they did? They appealed to authority. They said, science men have proven this. And guess what? The majority of people believed it. Now, a lot of people were skeptical of it. But if you study this event, it was actually, ironically, more of the non-lettered people that were skeptical because they didn't trust the so-called scientific establishment that was claiming to purport this to be a real event. But it was a hoax perpetrated in a very popular newspaper in New York called The Sun. Now, this is prior to Fatima and it's prior to Zaytun. Okay. So if none of us were there, how do we know that the Portuguese paper didn't just fake an apparition? Do we have evidence of faked apparitions anywhere else? Oh, it turns out we do. In fact, we read Michael Graziano's CIA study, PhD book on the history of CIA and religion, and he talked about staging Marian apparitions on the part of the CIA during the Cold War. Interesting. We've talked about that. You can read Victor Marchetti's book where the CIA has staged religious apparitions during the Cold War. In fact, Ed Lansdale had a whole plan to stage a fake second coming of Christ in Cuba to keep Cuba from going communist. Those are all on record. Now, they didn't go with that Cuba plan, but I'm saying it was discussed and it's declassified. Ed Lansdale. We covered Michael Graziano's CIA history text. Florida University, not a conspiracy book, retards. Academic text. Oh, okay. So, can I say with 0% doubt, like Candace says, that I know that Fatima happened because many, many witnesses? Really? Well, why would you have believed the great moon hoax, wouldn't you? Because it's possible that there's a fake news story. So, how do we know? I don't know if Fatima was a fake news story, but I also don't know if Fatima happened. Now, we all believe in religious deception and con artistry. And many, many, many Roman Catholics, for example, would say, well, Fatima is real, but Zaytun is fake. So you are admitting that large-scale Marian apparitions can be fake, right? Yes, but ours is real. Oh, okay. Interesting. How do I, from the outset, just de facto, based on news clippings and allegations of Marian apparitions, how do I know which one is real and which one's fake? Oh, all the evidences. And then it goes into an infinity of claims of sources of authority and this scientist and this test and that, blah, blah, blah. And so, in other words, you go down an infinite rabbit hole of you'll never be able to know because they'll both have sources and scholars citing either one. But how do I know between a demonic delusion or a fake news story or some other event? Perhaps Fatima was an unexplained stellar event that Roman Catholics seized upon to say is a miracle of Mary. I mean, I'm just saying there's all sorts of possibilities that are almost, I would say, perhaps impossible to actually verify. There's always a element of unknown, especially since this is over 100 years ago. It's really not possible to, quote, scientifically go and verify with strong certitude what happened in Portugal a century ago. How do you even do that? Other than news clippings, supposed eyewitness testimony. Okay, well, again, that's all going to be very, very easily doubted, you see. So likewise, one individual piece of data does not get you to therefore Patsy. And she waited, I don't know why she did that, it was really stupid on her part, but she waited way, way, way late, an hour and a half in, to start listing what she thought were valid questions and holes in the story, which I actually agree with some of those, which is why we gave her 1 point for that. So in my count so far, we are at Queen Quandus 2, Andrew 8. Now, perhaps she will make a huge comeback. Perhaps she's going to bring a bunch of heat. I don't know because we haven't gotten this far yet. And people were saying, how do you know who won if you didn't watch it all? I admitted that I saw 60% of it, and I told you what I thought based on that. That's why we're watching the whole thing, retard. And I'm in a sass mood today because I realized, as one of our commenters said, your boy Tim Gordon is just Chris Angel. You just got mind freaked. Tell me Tim Gordon isn't Chris Angel, and how do you unsee that now? I thought he was Scott Stapp. And I'm like, hell no, he ain't Scott Stapp. He's a damn mind freak, Chris Angel, bro. Now, Chris Angel was raised Orthodox. That's prophetic, son. That means it's only a matter of time before your boy Timmy becomes Orthodox.